Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Mahaprabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Vishwanath Prabhu, thank you for leading the chanting. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Start with Mangalacharan. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Welcome everybody to our morning japa and reading. So this week we are singing a wonderful bhajan from a book called Prarthana, collection of prayers by Shri Narottam Das Thakur, Sakhi Vrinda Vigyapti, which is the sincere request and consciousness to seek service at the lotus feet of Shri Radha and Krishna. So we will sing this prayer. Shri Mohini would like to sing today. Okay, so I've shared the link and all right, we'll start.
Hare Krishna. Radha Krishna Prana Mora Yugala Kishore Jivane Marane Gati Aranahi Mo Kalandira Kule Keli Kadambe Ravana Ratana Bedira Upar Vosabo Duijana Shama Gauri Ange Dibo Chandane Ragandha Chamara Dulabo Kabe Hiri Mukha Chandra Gathiya Mala Dibo Tohar Gale Adhare Tuliya Dibo Karpura Tambule Lalita Vishakha Adi Jata Sakhi Brinda Agyaya Karibo Seva Charanar Vinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasiranu Das Seva Bhilasha Kore Narottama Das Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Dasiranu Das Seva Bhilasha Kore Adham Das Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Das Thakur ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay, anybody who would like to take up the service of reading the translations?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Kishori Radha Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The divine couple Sri Sri Radha and Krishna is my life and soul, in life or death. I have no other refuge but them. In a forest of small kadamba trees on the banks of the Yamuna, I will seat the divine couple on a throne made of brilliant jewels. I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste, scented with puya, and I will fan them with a chamar whisk. Oh, when will I behold their moonlight faces? After stringing together garlands of malati flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambula scented with camphor to their lotus mouths. With the permission of all the Sakis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka, I will serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Narottam Das, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, longs for this service to the divine couple. Hare Krishna.
You are not audible, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Ji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, thank you. Yes. Thank you, Mataji, for wonderful reading. Saying yes, that's like this mood of Sri Narottam Das Thakur of seeking the service of the Lordships as a servant of the servant of the servant. Srila Prabhupada is in the same mood as Narottam Das Thakur. He has come as a servant of the Lord back to his original homeland of Sri Vrindavan Dham, where he has gone around the world preaching the glories of the Lord. Like we were reading yesterday, it says we are only preaching one word, Krishna, one scripture, Bhagavad Gita, and one mantra, Hare Krishna. So, and Prabhupada is planting the seed of divine service and divine love in everybody's heart and converting them into pure devotees, as those high commissioners of Canada and the mayor of Delhi were recollecting Prabhupada's contribution to the entire world, and how he was mentioning that I'm only touched by the pure love and affection of Swamiji, of Srila Prabhupada. So like that, Prabhupada is continuing to share the glories of this wonderful process of bhakti to everybody far and wide. So we'll continue. Yeah, so now Prabhupada is finally, after finishing his 10-day Pandal in New Delhi, he has come to Vrindavan, the original hometown where it all started for him, and how just as Brajvasis will welcome the Lord or Lord's pure devotees, similarly here they are welcoming Srila Prabhupada back to their hometown in Vrindavan, and they are thanking him for everything that he has done and in the service of Shri Radha and Shri Krishna. Okay, so we'll continue. Anybody would like to read today? We're reading from here. Great preacher. Okay. Now then I'll continue. Okay. Oh, great preacher of Vedic culture. Formerly, a great many Swamis went to foreign countries. But now you have wonderfully preached the Sankirtan movement and the sublime philosophy of Bhakti cult in the Western countries. And that is the only means for giving peace and prosperity to all people of the world in this age. For preaching religion and culture, your holy name will remain ever dazzling. To speak frankly, we feel a very intimate relationship with you, and we feel perfect satisfaction at this time in the privilege to present you this address of welcome. We take it for granted that you are one of us in Vrindavan. We are sure that wherever you travel, you must carry with you the impression of Sri Vrindavan Dham, the culture, religion, philosophy, and transcendental existence of Sri Vrindavan Dham travel with you. Through the great message Your Holiness carries, all the people of the world are now becoming very intimately related with Vrindavan Dham. We are certainly sure that through your preaching alone, the transcendental message of Vrindavan will spread all over the world. May you be crowned a success in these noble activities. Then Srila Prabhupada spoke, beginning by explaining how the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is trying to establish Daiva Varnashrama, or a God-conscious social order with universal application. We should not consider that Krishna is Hindu or Indian. Krishna is for all. These foreigners are taking to Krishna consciousness by understanding that Krishna is for all. They are not accepting a form of religious principles like Hindu or Muslim or Christian. These are designated religions. If I'm calling myself a Hindu, this is not my religion. This is my designation. Because I happen to take birth in a Hindu family, therefore I call myself a Hindu. Or because I take birth in a particular land, I call myself Indian or American. But our Krishna consciousness movement is not for such designated personalities. This Krishna consciousness is Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam. When one becomes free from all designations, he can take to Krishna consciousness. As long as one is Hindu or Muslim or Christian, there is no question of Krishna consciousness. So these boys and girls, or ladies and gentlemen who have joined me, they have given up their designations. They are no longer Americans or Canadians or Australians. They are thinking of themselves as eternal servants of Lord Krishna. Without this, there is no question of liberation from material contamination. As long as there is material contamination, we have to devise these social orders and spiritual orders according to Shastra as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. These are all material designations. But this Krishna consciousness movement is for becoming transcendental to these material designations. And these boys, these foreigners, they are being taught in that light. When I started my propaganda in New York, 26 Second Avenue, that time only half a dozen boys were coming and hearing. That hearing means I was singing, chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and reading some verses from Bhagavad Gita, and they were patiently hearing. Because I know if someone patiently hears the holy name of Krishna or about his pastimes, then Shranvatam Swakata Krishna, Krishna purifies him from within. So, actually, it so happened with these boys and girls. I say boys and girls because in the Western countries there is no distinction. They are given equal liberty. In our country, there is still discrimination. I mean to say, grown up boys and girls are not allowed to mix together, although it is going on now. But in European countries, there is no such restriction. So there was no possibility of making any distinction between the boys and the girls. So many of them are attending. I was chanting in Tompkins Square Park, and these boys and girls used to surround me and dance and chant Hare Krishna mantra. Some of them became a little advanced and purified and came forward. Swamiji, please accept me as your disciple. So my condition was that anyone who wants to become my disciple must be free from the four kinds of sinful activities: illicit connection with women, meat eating, intoxication, gambling. In this way, on this condition, these boys and girls were accepted as my disciples. According to Pancharatrika Vidhi, when they are fairly advanced, they are given the sacred thread, Upanayana Samskara, following the path and instruction of my Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. According to Shastra, they should not be considered as coming from families of Malechas and Yavanas. They should not be considered like that because they are now purified. That is also mentioned by Srila Shukadev Goswami in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you know of it. Kirata Hunandhara Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shambha Yavana Kasadayah Yenye च पाप यदपाश्रयाश्रयः शुद्ध्यन्ति तस्मै Prabhavishnave Namaha. How to become purified? By taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. So they are all purified according to the Pancharatrika Vidhi, and many of them have got this sacred thread. Prabhupada continued explaining the holy name's power to elevate anyone, regardless of birth, and he cited Shri Haridas Thakur, who despite his Mohammedan birth was accepted as the Acharya of chanting the holy name. Prabhupada also discussed the dynamics of the Krishna consciousness movement, telling how, according to Rupa Goswami's principle of Yukta Vairagya, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness was using material things in the service of Sri Krishna. In the Western countries, they are very luxuriously situated. My disciples are giving me residential quarters even a governor could not imagine. I remember one night, some time back, I was a guest in a Lucknow government house. At that time, the governor was Vishwanath Das, and he was personally known to me. So I remember the kind of luxurious apartment where I had the opportunity to lie down one night. But they, my disciples, are giving me all of this. So we cannot reject that because that is the standard of living in America. You cannot say, no, I shall not lie down in this nice apartment. I shall lie down in the street. I'm a sannyasi. Then nobody will respect me. There in America, the standard of living is like that. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says that you should not be attached to that. But for the service of Krishna, if you have to use such things, you should receive it. People are engaged in the service of Maya, but we want to engage everything in the service of the Lord. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. So we are using airplanes, we are using dictaphones, we are using teletype machine. Even for cleansing our floor, we are using a machine. This is the system. In each and every center, we have got new cars. We cannot do without them. In Europe and America, practically no gentleman walks in the street. It is a system there. So we have to use it. But we should not be attached to it. Our attachment should be only for Krishna. And for Krishna's service, we can accept anything. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. Prabhupada concluded his address by asking for land. He wanted to establish a temple for his society in Vrindavan. Afterward, a Mr. S., a motor parts salesman and resident of Vrindavan, offered Prabhupada a plot of land his family had been saving for some worthy religious purpose. Prabhupada smiled. Although he had only just arrived in Vrindavan, already Krishna was providing an opportunity for establishing his ISKCON center. Prabhupada thanked Mr. S. for offering this service to Lord Krishna. By his donating land, the Krishna consciousness movement would increase and the donor, Mr. S., would benefit. Prabhupada was aware that behind the formal reception and ceremonial words of Vrindavan's prominent citizens dwelt a deeper feeling of reserve and even suspicion, especially among the caste Goswamis, the proprietors of Vrindavan's major temples. While accepting Srila Prabhupada's foreign disciples as devotees of a sort, many Vrindavan residents nevertheless felt reluctant to accept the foreign Vaishnavas as Brahmanas, sannyasis, and pujaris. This misunderstanding was due to a traditional Hindu concept. Only those born in a caste Brahmana families could become Brahmanas. Prabhupada, however, followed exactly in the footsteps of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who had freely accepted anyone, regardless of sex or social position. When in 1932, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had led more than 1,000 followers in a Vrindavan pilgrimage, certain prideful caste Brahmanas had denied the pilgrims entry into the temples. The pilgrims had been harassed by rock throwers and boycotted by shopkeepers. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had then met with Brahmanas of Vrindavan and had scripturally proved to them that the soul, being transcendental, was free from designation and that anyone who became a Vaishnava automatically qualified as a Brahmana. Then the prejudices, however, had remained. Prabhupada also followed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta in denying that the Goswami title could be inherited. Goswami meant one who controlled the senses, and the title could not be adopted simply because one was born in a family of so-called Goswamis. The original Goswamis were the six Goswamis of Vrindavan: Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa, Sri Raghunath Bhatta, Sri Jiva, Sri Gopala Bhatta, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswamis, all of whom were in the renounced order and were therefore without issue. Almost 500 years ago, these six Goswamis had discovered the places of Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes and had built the first big temples in Vrindavan. They had appointed married disciples to carry on the deity worship in their temples. And now, the descendants of those original priests were claiming exclusive rights as temple Goswamis in Vrindavan. Prabhupada had written in the Nectar of Devotion about his spiritual master's struggle in this matter. After the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya's great associate, Lord Nityananda, a class of priestly persons claimed to be the descendants of Nityananda, calling themselves the Goswami caste. They further claimed that the practice and spreading of the devotional service belonged only to their particular caste, which was known as Nityananda Vamsha. In this way, they exercised their artificial power for some time until Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the powerful Acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, completely smashed their idea. There was a great hard struggle for some time, but it has turned out successfully, and it is now correctly and practically established that devotional service is not restricted to a particular class of men. Prabhupada therefore opposed the caste Goswamis' ideas of birthright, and the caste Goswamis feared Prabhupada's movement since it threatened their hereditary social preeminence. Yet, on this occasion of Prabhupada's triumphant return after preaching Vrindavan's glories to the Western world, no one protested his attempts to establish a temple. Those who disagreed remained silent or even offered flowery praise. The land was in Ramanreti. Prabhupada noted that the property on the outskirts of Vrindavan was located on busy Chatikara Road, a main thoroughfare into Vrindavan and a traffic route to Agra and the Taj Mahal. The land was also adjacent to the Vrindavan Parikrama path, where millions of pilgrims passed annually, circumambulating Vrindavan and visiting its temples and holy places. Ramanreti, literally charming sand, was mostly forest, with a few ashramas and abandoned fields. Celebrated as a favorite spot of Krishna's, where he and his brother Balaram and their cowherd boyfriends had played 5,000 years ago, Ramanreti abounded in transcendental love of God, which is the special atmosphere of Vrindavan. Although various city officials had casually mentioned that the city might donate land, Prabhupada took more seriously Mr. S's offer. Mr. S explained that although other sadhus had been asking for the land, he and his wife had not yet decided. They wanted to give it to a group who would build a Radhakrishna temple there as soon as possible. When Prabhupada assured Mr. S he would do so, Mr. S vowed that the land was now Prabhupada's. Prabhupada had heard such promises before, and they had often proved false. But considering this offer serious, he appointed disciples to remain in Vrindavan to draw up a deed with Mr. S. Meanwhile, Prabhupada took his disciples on a pilgrimage to many of the important holy places of Vrindavan: Varshana, the birthplace of Srimati Radharani; Gokula, the place of Krishna's earliest pastimes; Radhakund, Govardhan, and Vrindavan's major temples. At Govardhan, Prabhupada told the devotees not to step on Govardhan Hill or pick up any of the rocks. Govardhan Hill was not different from Krishna. Also, at Govardhan, Prabhupada took the devotees to a little temple where he showed them Krishna's footprint. The footprint was very large. If Krishna's foot had been that big, the devotees marveled, then he must have been 8 feet tall. Yes, Prabhupada said, they were much bigger then. Near Govardhan, at Bindu Sarovar, a lake commemorating the place where Radha and Krishna first met, the devotees swam while Prabhupada bathed from buckets of water in the nearby field. Later, while Prabhupada took prasadam, the devotees tried to chase away a few stray dogs by throwing stones and yelling, but Prabhupada stopped them. Leave them alone, he said, and he began throwing the dogs prasadam from his plate. At Varshana, the birthplace of Radharani, the devotees carried Prabhupada on a palanquin up the many steep steps to the temple. On the top of the hill, he looked toward a distant hill. Just over there, he said, pointing. Krishna used to come down that hill. Radha would come down this hill, and they would meet in the middle. There was a forest there. So this is a very special place because it is the meeting place of Radha and Krishna. In each holy place, Prabhupada would sit down, hold a kirtan, and come before the deity and offer obeisances. Then he would briefly describe the pastimes of Krishna related with the particular place. Dina Dayadri. The Indians at the holy places were always hounding Prabhupada for money. They assumed that his disciples, being Americans, were rich, so they wanted money. Prabhupada would give something, but there were so many that as soon as he would give to one, half a dozen others would crowd around him, preventing him from walking by. In some of the temples, they wouldn't let us enter. Prabhupada then took his group to the place beside the Yamuna, where Krishna had shown his mother all the universes within his mouth. Touching the water, Prabhupada said, "It is too cold for an old man like me, but you take a bath. I'll put a few drops on my head." He directed the women to a separate place to swim, where the Indian women bathed, and the men plunged in and began swimming. They sported in the water as Prabhupada stood on the bank, watching. Suddenly, Prabhupada put on a gamcha, walked to the river's edge, sprinkled some water on his head, and then waded in up to his knees. The devotees were delighted to see him duck beneath the water and begin bathing and splashing with them in the Yamuna. Srila Prabhupada decided that he would remain in his quarters at Mr. Saraf's home while his old friend Hitsaran Sharma took the devotees to Vrindavan's famous temples. Prabhupada did, however, make a point of going with his disciples to visit the Radha Damodar temple, where he had lived for several years, writing Srimad Bhagavatam and Back to Godhead magazine before going to America in 1965. At the Radha Damodar temple, Prabhupada told the devotees of his plans for an ISKCON temple in Vrindavan, and he suggested to the Radha Damodar Pujari that ISKCON use the Radha Damodar temple. "We shall prepare the whole temple nicely," Prabhupada said, "and we shall make a silver throne for the deity. 50 to 100 men will take prasadam here. It will be unique. If we want to, we can do it. Otherwise, we can start our own temple somewhere. We are prepared to spend money. If you give us a chance, we will spend it here. We want to make this a great festival in Vrindavan because it is Srila Jiva Goswami's place. Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami sat here. We have literature. We have books. Everyone is associating with us all over the world." Yamuna Devi Dasi. His divine grace was very frequently giving instruction of how much he wanted his rooms at Radha Damodar maintained nicely. He was extremely fond of his quarters there. One night during his stay in Saraf Bhavan, he agreed that he would stay for one 24-hour period within his rooms at the Radha Damodar temple. It was a very exciting event for all of us to look forward to. He selected 3 or 4 men to accompany him to spend the night there at the Radha Damodar temple. Saraf Bhavan was some distance from Seva Kunj, where the Radha Damodar temple is located. During the very early hours of the morning, I walked through the streets of Vrindavan and arrived at the Radha Damodar temple. Inside of Srila Prabhupada's sleeping room, I could see the light coming through the latticed red stone windows and the wooden shutters. Back and forth he was walking and chanting. Suddenly, very much to my surprise, the wooden shutters burst open, and a shaft of light filled a small corner of the courtyard. Prabhupada stood in his room under one bare light bulb. When he saw me, he asked, "How have you gotten here?" I said that I had walked. "Oh, this is not good," he said. "It is very dangerous in the street. There are so many wild dogs, and there are dacoits. In this quarter, a man will kill even for a lota." So there was some chastisement from Prabhupada on the one hand, but on the other hand, he seemed pleased. "So you are chanting japa?" he said. And I said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada." He said, "That is very nice. So go to the Samadhi of Srila Rupa Goswami and chant there." Then around 4 o'clock, other pilgrims were starting to filter in to attend the morning Aarti program. Prabhupada came out where we were chanting, and he said that this corner at Radha Damodar temple was just like the hub of the wheel of the spiritual world. It was the center. He requested that his rooms always be well maintained and that they be cleansed daily. Radhanath Maharaj. I had only met Srila Prabhupada briefly in Bombay, and then I had gone alone to live in Vrindavan. I had lived there about 6 months with the local people, and it was there that I got real attached to Krishna consciousness. I used to just live on the bank of the river with all the Babajis, a very simple life. I know it was just by that initial contact with Prabhupada that that seed was planted. One day, a big bus full of American devotees having a kirtana pulled into Vrindavan, and I was thinking, oh, here they are again. The first thing I asked was, "Is Prabhupada coming?" And they said, "Yes, Prabhupada is here. He will be speaking tomorrow morning." I was already attracted to a lot of gurus in Vrindavan, Prabhupada's godbrothers, and also devotees from other sampradayas. But on the morning when I came for the Bhagavatam class and heard Prabhupada chanting Jai Radha Madhav, I just sat there and listened. I had never seen anyone with such a quality of love for Krishna. All the great people I had met in India became insignificant when I saw Prabhupada chanting Jai Radha Madhav. He was so serious and grave, and the quality of his devotion was so intense. I just couldn't believe it. He kept looking over at me every now and then, kind of nodding because I guess he remembered me from Bombay. Then he spoke and he was glorifying Vrindavan so nicely. He was talking about how wonderful Vrindavan is, how spiritual atmosphere is, and he was talking about how careful the devotees must be to take advantage of the atmosphere. From that day, I started thinking, this is my Guru Maharaj, just because of the way he spoke. His lecture had been so precise and inclusive that it had encompassed every other philosophy and every other teacher I had ever heard. I could see also that Prabhupada's example was pure, and I could see his disciples were actually giving up sinful life. I used to go to his darshanas every day, although I was still living on the bank of the Yamuna. All the people of Vrindavan were glorifying Prabhupada. They were so proud of him because the people of Vrindavan are attached to Vrindavan. They love Krishna and they love Vrindavan because Vrindavan is the place where Krishna lives. That is their mood. They worship the land of Vrindavan, but they would tell me they appreciated Prabhupada. Most of them would call him Swami Bhakti Vedanta. They would say, he is the greatest saint because he is bringing Vrindavan all over the world. He is making the glories of Vrindavan known to the whole world. Then one day, Prabhupada and his disciples went on to an ashrama in Ramanreti. I got there late, just as Prabhupada was leaving. He was walking the last 20 yards or so to his taxi, and many Brajbasis were offering their full dandavats on the road. I felt very insignificant, another member of the crowd, and as Prabhupada walked by me, I offered my full obeisances also. When I lifted my head to get up, however, I saw Prabhupada's feet were right there in front of me. I thought, oh my God, Prabhupada is standing right there. I very slowly looked up, and Prabhupada was just standing there looking right at me. He looked me in the eyes for a couple of seconds and then said, "So how long have you been here in Vrindavan?" I said, "About 6 months, Srila Prabhupada." He just looked at me again and he was in a very serious mood, very compassionate, gazing into my eyes. He nodded his head and said, "Do you like it here?" I said, "This is the most wonderful place I've ever been in my life." Then all of a sudden, his serious expression just blossomed into the most beautiful smile. His eyes were glistening radiantly, and he looked at me for about 5 or 10 seconds. It seemed like a real long time. I couldn't believe the mercy he was giving me. And then he just replied, "That is very nice. Vrindavan is a wonderful place." And then he walked on. This was very special for me because most of the devotees were always telling me I was in Maya for staying in Vrindavan, and because I was kind of attached to my own program in Vrindavan. I was feeling that the devotees didn't understand, and I was upset with them, thinking that they didn't appreciate the atmosphere. But Prabhupada's words alleviated all my anxieties toward the Hare Krishna movement. It was the most special personal contact. It wasn't that Prabhupada was saying, it was his personal, transcendental concern for me. So then I went on to his classes every day and all the darshanas, and there was no doubt in my mind, he was very much convinced me. He very much convinced me on every level of Krishna consciousness. Okay, I think we'll pause here, Radhanath Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Okay, wonderful. So many things happen. Like, yeah, when we read this Prabhupada Leela, it is like an adventure every day. And I'm equally excited to see what is going to happen next. So, yes, so many wonderful things Prabhupada has done today in Vrindavan. Yeah, this is like homecoming, like we were saying, for him, coming back all the way to where it all started in the Radha Damodar temple. Like Prabhupada says, this is the spiritual center of the world. So yeah, in our meditation, we can take steps to go to Radha Damodar. Like we say, when we do Shravanam Kirtan, when we do our doing our japa, when we're doing our chanting, we can have that mood of meditation of Vishnu Smaranam. We can do Pada Sevanam. During chanting, we can do the parikrama of the holy dham, holy land, holy temples. Right? Especially like these temples, Radha Damodar, Krishna Balaram temple, Radha Raman temple, all these wonderful temples that our initial Goswamis helped um, establish in Vrindavan. We can take the darshan. Like once Radhanath Maharaj was asked, by one devotee when he came after a long time to the dham, he said, "Oh Maharaj, it's been a long time. We've had your darshan here." He says, "What do you mean? I'm here every day." so so that is the mood of meditation, like how they meditate. Pure devotees, pure Vaishnavas, they're always there in the dham. So that is why we say it's not just physical association that is important. Actually, the Vani, the spiritual instructions of the Acharyas are even more potent. And we can travel, our spirit can travel anywhere, right? Like our mind, we know we're sitting here in America, but we can be in Vrindavan in one flash of a second. So like that. So we should make it a point that, yeah, instead of thinking about our mundane affairs, thinking of what I have to shop today, what I have to do at work today while we are sitting and chanting japa. If the mind is uncontrollable like a wind, it's better to take the mind to the holy dham of Vrindavan to take, and do Pada Sevanam, do darshan of the deities, do parikrama. So that is way we can control the mind, and slowly it will become fully controlled and fully surrendered and fully sheltered at the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything from today's reading?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna everyone. I was just so reflecting and was very happy that His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was there in today's reading, and very soon we are having a lot of our very close devotees being initiated by Maharaj. So it is always Prabhupada is always with us. Whatever we are doing in our sadhana, in our devotional life, at our center in Cincinnati, somehow or the other, Srila Prabhupada is connecting with us through this morning readings. So it was very, very touching. I felt it like, yeah, Prabhupada is with us, and his very close devotees like Guru Varga is there with us. So it felt very special to read about Maharaj and his connection with Srila Prabhupada, early connection, and how did he became, Prabhupada's disciple. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, like we say again, you just said one is so powerful. So yes, Prabhupada is present personally and Radhanath Maharaj is present personally. Yeah, when we read these nectarian pastimes, our Acharyas' blessings, their presence is always there with us. Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to say anything? Okay. All right. Yes. So I think, yeah, Adi Guru Prabhu mentioned yesterday on the initiation. I think this is a special week. Last weekend we celebrated Prabhupada taking initiation. Right. We reflected today Prabhupada saying, that we should not treat these Vaishnava, these American boys and girls as coming as Malachas or Yavanas. They are pure devotees because they have transcended the material modes. And as Vaishnavas, they are already Brahmanas. Like Shila, we celebrated Haridas Thakur's appearance Saturday, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance and Prabhupada's sannyasa. And this coming weekend, actually this week, yeah, September 17th, next week, sorry, September 17th is the arrival day of Srila Prabhupada in the USA. And on that day, we are having a wonderful program in Detroit, Farmington Hills Temple of Initiation by His Holiness Sadhana Swami Maharaj for so many of our wonderful, sincere devotees of ISKCON Cincinnati. So very, very auspicious and very, 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 very nice that, yeah, Prabhupada is continuing to guide us and teach us through his pastimes, and it's by associating with Srila Prabhupada through this Leela and through the morning reading. Like Prabhupada is saying here, just by listening, or like Radhanath Maharaj was saying, just by listening, just by having association of a pure Vaishnava or hearing from their lotus mouth, we get purified. We don't realize it, but day in and day out, when you keep doing it, it just happens. It just happens, and slowly you will see, all the darkness. Like yesterday he was saying, the dirt, discovering the magnets will be removed, Chetadarpana Marjanam, and we will be attracted by the all attractive Lord automatically, just as an iron gets attracted to the magnet. So like that. Okay, Hare Krishna. All right, so we'll pause here. Thank you so much for your kind association as always. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrind ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All the wonderful Vaishnava Gaudiya Vrind ki jai. Current Guru Varga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare